Hey, environmental science, Miss Ledesma here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create an age structure diagram for our human population lab. I'm only going to be showing you how to do one, but please finish creating the rest on your own. So please, if you could, go to Google Classroom and scroll down to Human Populations Lab. You are going to be clicking on Google Sheets. And once you open that up, it should look like this. And we are going to start off in the Afghanistan tab. So you're going to notice that this Google Sheets is already populated with data from 4 different countries. And you will be expected to complete structure diagrams for all of the countries listed below. So if data is missing on any of these tabs, please make sure you email one of your teachers so that we can help you out. So on the Afghanistan tab, this is where we're going to begin. We're going to be adding formatting to the table. So you're going to select the entire table by clicking this box right here. And that should indicate that I've selected the entire table. Then you're going to click Format, and then you're going to click Alternating Colors. Okay? And this toolbox should pop up. So from here, you're going to click any type of style that you would prefer. I'm going to choose blue for Afghanistan, and it's advised to choose a different color for each country. Okay, so once I've clicked my color and my formatting, I'm going to go ahead and click Done. And this is what it should look like. I'm going to deselect the table, just clicking on any random cell. And then next, I'm just going to format my graph, just so it looks a little bit cleaner and neater. So what I'm going to do is select cells A1 through AD, just like that. And what I did was just I took my cursor and I clicked on cell A1, and I clicked and I dragged. I'm still holding down my cursor. And once I select all the way through cell D1, I'm going to then release my finger from the mouse. Okay. I would like to merge these cells together so that we have a nice clean title. So what I'm going to do is click Format, and I'm going to click Merge Cells, and then I'm going to click Merge All. And that should merge all the cells for the Afghanistan header. And that should be good. Next, what I want you guys to do is go into cell D2. Oh, yes, in cell D2. And you are going to type in negative male population. And this is going to act as a header. And directly below, we are going to be typing in this formula. So in order to type a formula into Google Sheets, you're going to always start off with an equal sign. So type in an equal sign. And because we're trying to find the negative values for the male population, we're going to type in the minus sign or negative sign. And then we're going to select cell B3. So you can either type in B3 or you can select it. There should be no spaces in this formula. And you can even double check looking at the formula bar to see if you entered in the formula correctly. Then you're just going to hit enter. It should give you a negative value. Next, what you're going to do, the program should have already reported this negative value from cell B3 into D3. Okay? So next, what we're going to do is we're going to select cell D3, just like it shows, where there is a thin blue line outlining the cell with a blue box at the lower right-hand corner. Okay, you are going to click this blue square, and then as you click it, you are going to click and drag your mouse down to the bottom row of the table. So you're going to click the blue square, and you're going to drag it down to the last row of our table, just like this. Then you're going to let go of your mouse, and the rest of the data value should automatically fill. This is called the fill handle, and it copies the equation into each subsequent cell, changing the reference cell each time. So you should now have a column of negative values that are identical to the ones in column B. Okay, so I'm just going to double check that this is a negative 4, that's a 4. Negative 100, that's 100. So on and so forth. You get the drift. Our data looks good, so we're going to move on to the next step. Now we're going to be selecting 3 different columns in order to insert our age structure diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to click cell A2, and I'm going to drag it all the way to cell A23. And once I have cells A2 through A23 selected, I'm going to hold down the control button on my keyboard with my finger. So once I hold that down, I'm going to then select the female population. So same technique, clicking and dragging and releasing, and still holding down that control button on my keyboard. And then I'm going to select my last column with the negative male population values. And I'm going to select all the way to the last row of my table. So notice that all my data values are selected, and I've released the control button and I've released my finger from the mouse. So notice how male population is not selected, and this is what we want. Okay? So next we are going to go to insert because we have our data selected, and we're going to click chart. Now you should see a chart automatically generate, and you can also see the chart editor menu pop up too. If it doesn't pop up on the right side of your screen, you can double click on the graph in order for it to show up. So now that we have our chart inserted into our Google Sheets, what we're going to do next is adjust it because we want a different type of chart. So I'm going to go into my chart type drop-down box, okay? And then I'm going to scroll down until I find the stacked bar chart. So it should look like this. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Now you can see from our data that it flipped our age structure diagram upside down. And so under the Customize tab, we're going to flip it. So under the Customize tab, you're going to click on the vertical axis. I'm going to scroll down until I see reverse axis order. So I'm going to check that box so that flips. So this is typically what we've seen. This looks like a population pyramid age structure diagram. All right, so now what we're going to do is that we're going to fix up our age structure diagram, and we're going to make sure that our axes are good as well as our title and our legend. So what we're going to do next is that we're going to add a horizontal axis label to the chart. So what we're going to do, still underneath this Customize tab, we are going to scroll up until we see chart axes and title, chart and axis titles. Okay, and so we're going to select this drop-down box until we see horizontal axis title. Okay, and then in this box, you can just type in population size, and we can say male on the left and female on the right, because that is what our data tells us. Then you're going to hit enter, and it should automatically pop up below. Okay. So next, we are going to be adding a vertical axis label. So our vertical axis label right now doesn't really tell us much information except the age, but we want to add that these are 5-year increments. So what I'm going to do is go back to my drop-down menu underneath the Customize tab under Chart and Axis Titles, and I'm going to click Vertical Axis Title. Here, I'm going to title this Age Groups, and I'm going to type in 5-year increments. And you should see as I'm typing in, it will automatically adjust on the graph. You can also edit the axis titles by double-clicking on these boxes and typing it in as well. All right, so now that we've taken care of our horizontal and our vertical axes, what we're going to do is we are going to add a chart title. So still in the same menu, under the Customize tab, under Chart and Axis Titles, I'm going to click that drop-down box, and I'm going to click on Chart Title. Here, I'm going to title my age structure diagram. Okay. And I want to give it an appropriate title, so make sure you're going to include the country and the year. So I'm going to say Afghanistan population, and then I'm going to provide the year, 2018, in parentheses, just like this. Okay, and that should automatically appear on your chart. All right, so now what we're going to do is delete the legend on our chart because it is a little bit misleading. We already edited our horizontal axis to say that the males are on the left-hand side and the females are on the right-hand side. So now what we're going to do is delete the legend on the graph. So still under the Customize tab, and I'm just going to click this Chart and Axis title again so that it can minimize. Remember, we're under the Customize tab. We're going to click on Legend. And right below position, we're going to click this drop-down menu, and we're going to click None. And that should remove our legend from our graph. So now taking a look at my graph, I notice that there's a lot of white space, and our data graph doesn't really give us a big picture of what the data is trying to tell us. So for example, if you look back on the Afghanistan table, you can see that there are 4 males and 9 females that are over the age of 100. But looking at our graph, you can barely see any data points. So what we're going to do is adjust the minimum and the maximum values to represent our complete data set. So, for example, if the largest data point in Afghanistan's data set is 2,781,326, and I'm referencing this number from cell E3, that number is representing how many people are in between the ages 0 and 4. So it's ideal to set the maximum value to 3 million so that the graph is going to take up the most area on the chart. So again, under the Customize tab, you are going to select Horizontal Axis. We're going to scroll down so we can see the rest of it. And under minimum value, you can go ahead and enter 0 since there's no negative people. Then for our maximum, you can go ahead and type in 3 million. Notice how this is going to change the look of our graph, but don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to uncheck this box that says Allow Bounds to Hide Data. And we should see our data points. Okay. So now we're going to repeat the steps 3 through 15. You can follow along with the formative for each country. You can follow along with this video. And your age structure diagram should have all of the features just like it does in this graph here, with the title, axes, and an adjusted data set. All right, so now that we've created our age structure diagram for Afghanistan, I would like to calculate the total population size for each of the age increments before I begin my data analysis and calculation questions on formative. So I'm going to move my Afghanistan population age structure diagram over to the side so that I have a little bit more room to work. And I'm going to click on cell E2, and I'm going to title it Total Population. And then in the cell directly underneath, I'm going to type in a formula that is going to add the number of males and females that are between the ages 0 and 4 in this formula. So what I'm going to do is start with an equal sign. I'm going to type in the letters SUM. I'm going to start off with an open parentheses, and I'm going to select cells B3 and C3, just like that. Finish it off with a close parentheses, and I'm going to hit enter. That should give us a value. Next, I'm going to select that cell, E3. I'm going to use the fill handle method. So I'm going to click this blue square in the lower right-hand corner until it turns into a plus sign, just like this. And then I'm going to click it. I'm going to drag it all the way down to the last row of our table, and those values should automatically populate. Now, to get a total sum of males and females in Afghanistan's population in 2018, what I'm going to do here at the end is I'm at the very last column, directly underneath that last value in cell E24, I'm going to insert another formula. So I want the sum, and Google Sheets is already trying to think for me. And yes, exactly. It's going to select cells E3 through E23. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that. That should give me a summation, or it's going to add all of these values together and enter it into this cell. All right. And so once I have this total population count value, I can then perform all my calculations on formative. So please complete lab day 1 by finishing up those calculations as well as those post-lab questions on your own. And as always, reach out if you need help. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.